Well, thank you, both of you. Two totally different types of healing people. One more person-centered and one more scientifical based. I would like to ask the people, if you have one question for each of the entrepreneurs here about the service or the product. So not about the entrepreneurship. We want to dig in that later. But maybe somebody has questions to clarify more the product or the service. And you can write that in the chat. Is that possible? Otherwise, I have a question. Yes? Okay, Adrienne. Adrienne, do you have other ideas for next products?
Yeah. Do you want to repeat the question?
What are your next products? Do you have ideas?
I want to continue with Weleze, and it's a modular project. So product. So I want to go to more to people in working in healthcare and to ask them for advice and to create something what they need.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is it clear or not? Not so. So it's a modular project. Any different kind of buildings, you can use it in a different way. But you can use it, for example, in a silent room. But you can also use it in an entry hall. So that depends also the situation. But I'm searching for customers like that.
Mm-hmm. And I have also a question, because we have seen the picture of the pendular, and it really looks very beautiful. The colors are very bright, and I can totally imagine that when people sit next to it that you become at ease, and you will become more, in a certain state of mind. But have you also kind of investigated or did research or tested it out? So how do you know that people that has this effect on people?
Yeah, I had several exhibitions, and there I let people write their experience in a book, and I was there as much as I could, also as for myself, so I could see the reaction. And for example, I invited groups with people with dementia, and me and their helpers, they noticed that they were very quietly all of a sudden. So they used to ask a lot of questions, and they were very restless. And when we were in the space, they came more at ease and quiet, and they stopped repeating the same questions all over again. And for example, a baby, he was crying a lot all the time, and then his mother brought him there, and then the baby was quiet. And also children came to play there, and then I said, hey, and they were very careful with so that was also something that it creates also because usually children want to touch it and to maybe they are wild, but they were very careful, and then they came all the time and said, hey, you have to tell your parents you are here.
So you notice by observing people near the pendular that it has this soothing effect. I think this is the best way to of course to test your product. So there's one more question for Barry in the chat. That's about I'm going to read it out loud. DNA analysis has a service to more consumer markets. What's your vision on that? You have some services in this field.
Yes, So yes, the thing we started with is our home consumer DNA testing service, and we still have that actively, be it under a sub-brand Omnigen. And my vision on that is that I still would never like to offer medical at-home testing, but we, as we always did, will expand on lifestyle DNA testing. So my vision on that is that we give people insight on their genetics in terms of their diet and the dietary needs, and then take it a step further, not only diagnose on a genetic level that their dietary need, but also enable them to order products that would fit those needs. So for example, if my genetical dietary need is high fiber, low protein, then you'd be able to order a shake that fits that dietary need, or maybe perhaps at some point a meal package. And the same goes for sleep genetics. So some people have a short sleep cyclus, some people are more a morning person than an evening person. And based on that genetics, we can actually give them personalized advice and products to accommodate those needs.
Sorry, we didn't understand. I didn't understand the last two sentences.
Based on those needs and those specific genetic profiles, we can accommodate those needs. So we offer services and products around them. And actually the platform we have, people can log in and can use those services to make sure that they will have a more healthy lifestyle. So a full stop, full service online place for not only your genetic information, but also products and advice to actually live healthier.
Do you also think this is the biggest market, this type of DNA analysis?
Well, yes, but mainly the problem with genetics as a product is you sell it one time. So people will have one time a DNA test, then you have your profile, you think, oh, that was interesting, and you never look back at it. In order to have it like a viable business, we need recurring revenue, so people ordering stuff continuously. So therefore, the DNA test will be a starting point, and then people say, okay, now I want personalized meals on a weekly basis, and that means they order something each week again, and that's something we've been working on quite heavily for the last 2 years, and I'd hope to bring it into the market. Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Clear. That's clear. There's one more question for Adrienne from Bart Lenseling. So what is the current status of the beer at the Reinier de Graaf Hospital? Are there new plants already flowering?
No, the plants won't be flowering because they are mainly green, and some of the plants will have flowers, and that was in the beginning of spring. But I will tell more about that later, so you will hear it in when the questions will arrive.
All right, good. Yes, I have a couple of questions to both of you, and this is mainly about what you experienced being an entrepreneur. And I just want to know, Adrienne, how did it start with you? When did you think, I have this product and I want to sell it and I want to make money with it?
Yeah, that was after the exhibition, the first exhibition where I just told you about. Then when I saw that book full of positive reaction, and the reactions were mostly on the positive effects it had on her mood. And so I thought, hey, I want to do more with this. And taking my first steps as an entrepreneur, I focused on market research. And I went all over the Netherlands to go and visited a lot of different kind of companies and organizations. And I just showed them my work, and I asked what they thought about it and if they had any suggestions. And so I got a lot of different opinions, and that was very a period when I learned a lot. And I was also participating a lot in network events, and they give usually inspiring talks, and they offer workshops, and I learned also a lot from that. And in the meantime, I had small exhibitions, and I offered my work for rental, and also to see to observe. And I also work with refugee children and sometimes their mother, and I did creative activities. And social skills. So the main challenge remains in this period my target group, precisely because you can use LSH so widely for so many kind of people. So now for me it wasn't so much the question when did I thought I want to sell this modular and circular product, but more to who. And
we can talk about that later, but I think it's very clear, and I think it's also inspiring that when you saw that people reacted very positive on your product, you did your how do you say, the proof of concept by just listening to people. I think it's a great way to find out that your product works. So Barry, when you already mentioned it in your presentation, but can you recall the moment that you really thought, okay, I have something and I think I can make money out of it?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I never regarded it, well, I did regard it as I can make money out of it, but my motivation at some point was, so I used to be like, I thought I was an entrepreneur doing software development as a freelancer, but that's not really entrepreneur, but in my mind back then it was. And then I went to uni, and then I thought, well, I'd like to be entrepreneur again, but I also like to do something good. And I didn't know if I wanted to do a PhD, like academic research, and then at some point I felt I wanted to make some impact, but I didn't feel like making scientific publications, which, well, most people won't understand, or only my immediate colleagues would like read, didn't feel like much of an impact. So I figured I want to be involved in the subject I studied, but I want to apply it in a different way to society and make sure that stuff, because really lots of cool research happens, but very little actually ends up into the market or actually in reach of people. So that actually triggered to me. So, okay, I want to make sure that stuff that's getting published, stuff that's researched, that people will actually get in touch with that. And that actually ignited the idea to do DNA testing, because there's a lot of publications, I think every day, thousands of publications by researchers working really hard on bringing knowledge further. But people on the street, they don't know. And being able to take a little part of that knowledge of science and putting it into a DNA report as a product, at least then it comes to the people. And the other side of it, I wanted to make money in order to help people on a more bigger scale. So for example, with oncology, so helping cancer patients, and hopefully also soon kidney transplantations, and increase the number of successful transplantations. It makes me feel I'm making more of an impact than I'd be sitting in my little academic room writing academic articles.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And to both of you, can you also recall the moment that you had your first customer, that the phone rang, or did you received an email and somebody said, yes, I want your product or service? Who was it? And how did you get that first customer?
Do you want me to? Oh, shall I go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah. It was for me that although I had customers before, it sounds strange, but with my first big project, it was me, because I created a project for myself, and because I wanted to be part of a big project where I had the opportunity to collaborate with a multidisciplinary team. And that was a challenge, because the project developers, they didn't want to invite me because I was an artist, and they usually don't invite the artists in the beginning. They do that usually in the last phase.
You're talking about, Adrienne, you're talking about project developers who develop buildings like hospitals.
Building, and the buildings, and also on the outside and on the inside. And I think it can be very valuable when I take part of a team like that, and that I can add something. but it was a challenge. So I thought I didn't have the experience. So I thought, hey, at the beginning of the pandemic, I saw my chance and I took the initiative for the compassion beer. So at least I could have the experience to collaborate with a lot of companies and how that is, how that works. And
You became your own project developer, actually,
yes,
for your first project. That's nice. And there was somebody that was interested.
yeah, not somebody. All like 100 people were involved and participated. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was nice.
Yes. And how about you, Betty? Can you
that's
recall your first?
definitely. That's kind of a funny story, actually. So back in 2015, we just started up and we had our very first prototype somewhere in June. And then via I got the phone number of the club physician of Feyenoord. And basically I was planning on calling him and asking him for product feedback. So I was really nervous and I had his phone number and he picked up the phone. He said, okay, it's Professor Van Eyck. What can I do? And I tried to explain to him that I had a product and it's for football players and he used genetics to optimize the players. And sort of he interrupted me. He said, can I buy it? And I remember saying something, yeah, I think you can, because I didn't expect him to want to buy it. I just wanted his feedback. So he became a customer instead. And the link actually is even longer because not only is he a club physician for Feyenoord, but he's also an oncologist in the area of pancreatic cancer in the Erasmus Center. So therefore, we came to talk, and well, he became a customer. Feyenoord became my company, my customer. Actually, up until the season that they became champion.
Really?
Yeah. And then they stopped doing it, and well, you see what happened.
But Barry, if I assume you are supporting Feyenoord.
Oh,
and
definitely.
that's why you called Casper van Eyck. But what if you were now a Ajax supporter? Would that have been the case then that you are that Ajax would have been your customer then?
I find that very hard to imagine. Maybe in some parallel universe, but no, I'm Rotterdam born and raised. I actually grew up next to the Feyenoord Stadium, so for me it was the most obvious choice to ring the position of Feyenoord.
I've heard that also the animosity, the competition is not only between the clubs but also between the physician, between the doctor.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. They always want the newest of the newest, and that actually helped me to become Feyenoord to become my customer. Because the funny coincidence is that actually 2 weeks before me phoning Feyenoord, there was an article in Football International that Ajax was experimenting with genetic analysis. So they were there first, and then 2 weeks after that publication, I happened to give the club physician a phone call, and I didn't even know about the publication, but obviously they did, and they were very eager to do the same as Ajax. So that actually helped me to become. So he was a Rotterdam-based SME offering their genetic services, which their huge competitor Ajax also had. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is also, I think, a very, well, how do you say it, a lesson that you can bring to, well, everybody can, take a lesson from out of it, because it's all about timing. Huh? If Casper van Eyck didn't read that article, maybe he would not have been so eager to immediately buy your product. And I think it also is the case, Adrienne, you also mentioned it about the plants. You're working with greens, and greens. Holland is very big in horticulture, and you have found a good grower that was willing to give you the plants. But would you have been? Can you tell us that story? When you mentioned also in your presentation, but so why did he give 10,000 of plants
Yeah, because otherwise, yeah, I told him because Barry said he grew up next to Feyenoord, but I grew up next to the growers. So I told them that I came from this region. I told them, just I had a chat, and then they said, yeah, of course, they wanted to help me. They thought my idea was nice and beautiful, and otherwise they had to destroy it. So it was also for them very good. So the flowers could have a better purpose than the container.
Yeah, I can imagine. I want to have ask you one more question, and then the audience can put questions in the chat. I believe it's very important as an entrepreneur to have somebody to talk with, to reflect on what you're doing, the decisions that you are going to have to make, maybe very big, drastic decisions with a lot of money involved, or personal decisions. So do you have somebody that coach you? And who is it? Yeah, Barry, you can start.
Well, the thing is, it's multiple answers to this question. The thing is, it changes. So you grow as an entrepreneur, therefore you have to also every time again change your advisor, because at some point you have somebody at a certain phase that will give you advice and they'll help you. But then at some point you'll notice, okay, now I'm on the same level as this person, so he has no new knowledge to give me. And then every time you have to keep on looking for a new advisor. And I think that the hardest bit of finding this new advisor is finding somebody who has no underlying agenda. So no other interest in actually really helping, because that's the hardest thing. There's a lot of people who would like to give you advice, but they've got also their own agenda and their own purposes to help you. And to get really objective advice from the right person, it's hard. So it's an ongoing search.
Yes, ongoing search. Would it help if that person came from a total different industry, or also if they are from a different industry, they would maybe have some interest?
No, the funny thing is that in my experience, I've spoken to several entrepreneurs, had different types of advices, and it doesn't really matter which type of industry, because the same principles apply to building a business. So it sounds weird, but I can even get a really nice connection with somebody growing plants to I don't know, selling paper, but the same principles apply. So life sciences, IT, selling paper, whichever, advice can be from a wide range of advisors.
Okay, so the industry doesn't really matter. Okay, how about you?
On a bigger level, no.
Okay,
Yeah, I search for people who were thinking very differently than I did, because I was social minded from my other work. And I thought for business, I had to learn a lot of business skills. So I was searching for people who had them. And I agree with Barry that, you can have a wide range of, I agree with all the things Barry said. I experienced the same. I speak to, I have some French, which I don't have a coach at the moment, but if there's something, then I can call friends with an background in business to ask for advice or just for sparring. And I used to have a coach, and she was a valuable. She was a valuable coach, which was very direct, straight to the point. She was a banker. She was the opposite of me, and she was also very honest and clear. And I noticed she liked to help me to grow in this part, and then she was also suffering from cancer, and she died when the beer was constructed. So that was a very hard time for me, and that was also because it was joy and sadness at the same time. So that's why the reason for me, I didn't search for a coach directly, because I want to give this a little bit of time. But I do agree with both of you and also with Amelia that it's very important to search for a coach who keeps you sharp and who is straight to the point.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's nice that you can dedicate it quite a big piece of art to your friend. And
Yeah.
well, I hope you will find a new coach sooner or later. And actually, there's a little bit of time left for questions from the people in this session. So I would like to invite you to write it down in the chat. Or maybe you have a question for each other. Also possible, of course.
I only think it's very interesting. But
I've got a question for Adrienne. So obviously your art has made a huge impact to those institutes and those locations you did your art. So in Reinier de Graaf and the Erasmus, but have you ever thought about expanding this to other countries? I mean,
yes,
healthcare and hospitals all around the globe.
Yes, I thought about that, and that is actually my dream. And because I did also a lot of, I worked a lot in different countries before, and that I would love to do also with this. But I've thought maybe it's better to grow first in the Netherlands and then go to other countries. But I keep in search of there are applications for art selections, and I also have the contacts of some people in Spain, where with the so. But yeah, it is. I want to wait with that because I think I'm not ready for it yet.
Yeah. But yes, but I do think that there are possibilities because yeah, it's international. Huh? I mean, language is used, and it's, how do you say? I think a lot of people like the concept and the pendulum. So yeah, there's some potential in there. So I do hope that at some point you will find new customers in the Netherlands or outside.
Yeah, if it's already an exhibition, then that will be a first nice step.
Yeah,
I've been, my art development was in Florence and in Nice. So I still know a lot of people there, and I tried then and I had several exhibitions while I was there, but that was with other kind of art.
Yeah. Okay, and I see here I think that this is the last question from Laura. So what do you need to take the next step? And how can we, the listeners, help or think along? That's a nice question.
Yeah, is it for me also?
Both
to everyone. Yeah. Oh.
Is there what is the next step? And maybe there's somebody here in the audience that can help you. You never know, huh?
In reply to that, how can listeners help? I always, the last 6 years of doing Omnigen, I always was amazed by how a network can help you. So my open invitation is, if anybody at any level, anyway, sees any connection to the stuff I'm doing, please let me know, because many times I had connections in unexpected ways that did help me forward. So yeah, therefore, if anybody thinks, hey, I might know something for you in terms of consumer genetics or in terms of oncology and product development or clinical approval.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah. And you, Adrienne, do you have a question for the audience, listeners?
Yeah, Bart Lenslink, he said he had a question before, and I met him also at network events. And I know he has a very large network, so maybe it is nice to have a cup of coffee when it's possible again, and to talk about possibilities. And that is the same question for Barry. Then I would like to come and see. To learn more about your the way you
consider it a deal.
Yeah.
We'll have that cup of coffee, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to wrap it up now. Well, thank you both of you, Adrienne and Barry, for your stories. And I hope the audience has got some good lessons out of it. But before we close, I would like to point out that on the 17th of June, there is a network breakfast of the LSH, the Life Sciences and Health, the 010 community. And Barry is going to tell us all about his latest project with Casper van Eyck, about DNA sequencing. Also a speaker is Rokesh Janki from Google. You know him, but he knows also, he will give us his point of view from Google about the DNA sequencing. And there are some other sessions. The program is online. I can also send it in, put it in the chat. And for now, thank you again. Enjoy your weekend if it starts right now. Otherwise, I hope to see you somewhere in the future, either here in the Venture Cafe, or maybe at the breakfast, or maybe at some other point in life or time. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody for listening in.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening.
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.